Since the time when romantic relationships began, women have sought after clues and signs from potential husbands. It was way much easier in the past when suitors declared their intentions to the lady and her parents. Then a man could just walk right into a maiden family house in the village and be like, I found a beautiful flower and I would love to pluck it. With the lady accepting to the proposal and the parents consenting to it, a date to be fixed for the wedding, and that's just it. Over the years, emotions and intentions of both men and women have grown a bit dubious, and it's silly for two grown people not to be open and forthright about their intentions towards one another. So I totally suggest that a year into a relationship, it's okay to ask your partner straightforward, where are we headed? And which boils down to the signs you have to look out for. According to Rohan Sinha, BBA, in August 18, 2023, she stated below signs every lady in a relationship should look out for. 1, if he introduces you to his family. 2, if he is consistent. 3, if he supports you through difficult situations. 4, if he asks about your plans for the future. 5, if he doesn't show interest in other women. 6, if he frequently uses the word we and not me. You understand? 7, discusses long-term plans with you.
Thank you very much for that. You've told us exactly the signs to look out for. 7 signs. Okay. So the first sign is what? If he introduces his family members.
Yeah, that's very important.
Before we talk about how to know, let's take a look at these signs and see if these signs are applicable. So the very, very first thing, are there women here who have been introduced to family members and the guy did not marry you? You are plenty. So we have that particular story. So it's possible to introduce family members without the guy committing to you.
Yeah.
How many people agree with that?
I agree with that.
Okay, so what's the second sign?
It's consistent.
What does consistent mean?
Like seriousness, like.
How do you assess? Okay, I think Eche should ask you that question.
Okay, I think
you can ask her. What does she mean by consistency?
So what do you mean by consistency?
Like his actions now.
What
like,
kind of actions? Because you get to know
his care, how he treats you, those kind of stuff. Like.
I think we have a different kind of guys who are almost, I think, very good at that. And with this our generation, it's a normal thing for you to be consistent, especially at the very first phase of the relationship when you're trying to like capture the lady's heart. You know, you could just try to be consistent. At some point, you get to jam some other crazy stuff out there on a daily basis, so that could make you lose your consistency. So it's not really.
What if he's consistent with 4 people?
You know that was not.
I mean, Mr. Eche, you know now.
I think it's actually very possible for the guy to be consistent with 4 different persons. It's actually a very possible one.
If one love is good, then what about 2 loves?
The thing about, as they just said generally, like these days, guys are always kind of, the way they see the guys nowadays, they say they don't know what they want, something like that. So you have to prove yourself more than, if you have to show the best CV for you to get qualified to be the best on the list. So possibly the guy could, have some consistency with the other persons. There could be like the different traits, from different persons.
Okay, so let's go to the third on the list.
He supports you through difficult situations.
What do you mean by that? Does he help you to push your car if it breaks down? What exactly do we mean? What do you understand by?
What kind of support is that like? Is it monetary support?
I think
Is it financial support?
financially.
So what if the guy is not like
your career
financially
and
stable?
financial support.
I don't get money, they give money.
Okay, so we are bringing questions. You brought up the issue of financial stability. So what's the 4th item on the list?
He asks about your plans for the future.
Okay.
That one too works. That one works too. I support that one. It works too. He asks and then he takes action.
Okay, the 5th.
He doesn't show interest in other women.
They play. No.
That's something like that, honestly.
They will cheat you, you don't know.
Okay, so okay, again, are we saying that if a man does not show interest in other women but only shows interest alone in you, he plans to marry you?
No.
Are there people who have dated guys who showed interest only in them, and you are not together anymore?
Doesn't happen. It's like
I want us to go down the list because what else do we have on that list?
He frequently use we more than me.
yeah, that one works. No, that's true. That one is true. At least it shows he's including you in whatever plans
You can't.
he's taking.
Okay, again,
Okay, I support that one. When someone is always using I, me. Person, I feel the person is focusing more on themselves. But when they start using we, it means they see you as part of their world, part of their plan. So if they are making plans, they don't see it as just them in it. They see you in it too.
Yeah.
So I support that one.
but that's a suggestion. Those are recommendations as to. But all those recommendations speak about intentions. They do not speak to capacity. Okay, so, and in this conversation, we're going to have conversations around both intentions and capacity. Okay, because it is possible to want to marry someone without having the capacity to do so. That suggestion presupposes that the guy is capable or is either willing or not willing. I have this question generally. Generally, right now, the way the country is it that there is a lack of willingness on the parts of men to commit, or there's a lack of capacity on the part of men to commit?
No, to that question, I believe there are three categories of people. Those with the willingness to marry and probably haven't found a partner, or maybe have found a partner and they're working their way through it. Those who don't have the capacity, and by the capacity, I mean they are full of the intentions and the willingness, but they don't have the financial capacity, because on this show, we've talked about it several times, that if you have the willingness to marry without the capacity, you're a dreamer. And then the third class of people are the capricious ones. That's those guys who want, they're taking the girl for a ride. They just feel that, okay, this is the thing that would work the woman, especially when women are a certain age.
So right now, what do we address first? Do we address capacity or willingness?
I think we should address capacity first.
Capacity, yeah.
We should address capacity first.
Yes.
So we should separate people who can from people who cannot.
Yes.
Then after that, we can now pick those who can and then figure out if they are willing.
Yes.
All right, so let's talk about capacity. So gentlemen, how do you know? How do you know if somebody is capable of getting married? A man.
For me, I think to know if a man is capable, one, it should be matured. The maturity I'm saying is not about he having money or a financial thing. The first thing, what I mean by maturity is he is mature in body, one, and he's mature in his, the mental maturity.
How do you know if somebody is matured mentally?
It doesn't behave. If someone is mature mentally, it doesn't behave anyhow.
Yes.
But there are lots of people in this country who are married who behave anyhow.
Yeah, big babies.
What you just said right now about mental maturity, how do you know when somebody is mentally matured? Because the women are listening to you right now. They're telling you that the capacity of a man, he has to be mentally matured. How will she know?
If I would want to know that someone is mentally mature, for example, now maybe someone did something that I'm supposed to argue about, and I know that from that argument it can escalate to something more serious. Instead of me arguing over that matter, I will just keep silent and look for other means, other solution to just keep the matters low.
What you just said now is theory. And I'll tell you why it's theory. There can be circumstances in which you get angry. If you don't have any money in your account and someone bashes your car that you are driving, and you don't have any money in your account to fix it, no matter how matured you are, you're going to yell at the person.
Yeah.
All right? It doesn't matter how matured you are. If you plug your phone by the window and somebody snatches it and you catch the hand, you are not going to be calm. All right? So the examples you've given, as good sounding as they are, there's no objective yardstick to use to assess. You cannot assess. You can't make a decision. There are people who have gotten married, and after getting married, they've gotten divorced, and they felt that person was mentally matured. So it's extremely hard to go by. But let me rephrase the question: how will a woman know you are mentally matured enough to consider marriage?
We have different women with their thinking mentality. How she can think is different from how she can.
And what
think.
will she see in you?
In me,
Yes.
she must see that I'm hardworking.
Oh, that's something.
I never see something.
I must say that I'm hardworking. That's it.
Even the man is hardworking.
You don't see I'm working before. I'm working hard.
All right, so let's come back to the panel. I'll throw it back at Chimoya. So Chimoya, because while we were planning this show, you had some thoughts, and usually when you have thoughts in the planning, in rehearsing the show, usually it's completely different from when you're in the arena. So how would you assess? Because he has said right now mental maturity, and I think you brought something like that up.
Deep.
Please just allow the camera to focus on her. If it's going to be 5 minutes, we'll wait here.
Like how to know if a man is
Mentally
mentally
Mm.
mature.
How would you know? Getting hard.
Damn question.
Okay, so we'll come back to you then. Osjoma,
I have no idea.
you have no idea to assess.
Because
Well, you knew.
firstly, it's not written on the forehead, as you all know. But there are some things that I would actually say, but to some people, doesn't make sense. For example, I have this neighbor. So she was dating this guy. They were pretty serious, 2 years going, and everything was all rosy. And now, wigs were flowing everywhere, pizza up and down. And then he would get her phones. I don't know his kind of job. It's not my place to ask or pry into their matters, but get her new phones, clothes, and all that. But there was one particular time they had this argument. It was so, I don't know, should I use the word terrible? He yelled at her, and the next thing I'll hear is, bring that phone. Now, that is not maturity. I don't know if anyone is going to that is not, if a guy is willing, even if after everything you guys have, but to me, that singular act was not maturity. And I don't think anybody would do that to me. I'll be like, okay, yeah, mature, good. No. So that's my own definition of a matured person.
Okay, so someone who can handle arguments.
Anything. It was not just, it went, there are other people too that I know. The shop. Okay, he got shop for her. This one happened to my cousin. He got stuff for her and little argument, he locked it up. And I'm like, I don't understand, bro. We not go open shop today, thing happen. And I'm open shop. So those kind of things are just so glaring too.
But they were already married, right?
They were not married. They were still dating.
Okay, so he bought a shop for her. They got into an argument, then he locked the shop.
He locked it.
Okay, so I don't want to go off on a tangent, but in that situation, just a quick tangent, how is you supposed to handle the situation?
I told the girl with the phone, I didn't say anything. But my cousin, I told her, sister, not be road with this. Because there's a day you guys will actually get married and you'll be like, pack your load and leave my house. Regardless if you actually contributed into either building the house or renting it. He's going to walk you out. And that time you won't have anything to say. You go just cry. It's what is done is
all right,
done.
so I would ask you, how many of us have seen couples that when they got married and they got into fights, somebody has told the other person, pack out of my
Me,
house?
I've seen
How many
a
people?
lot.
So by your assessment now, those people should not have gotten married.
They shouldn't.
They should have waited until they got. What if the person does not mature up to the age of 70?
No, and aside that, I don't know. She said they should go like a year into the relationship before I start asking where are we going headed. My own, I'm like, after 6 months, where would they go? It's not like after 1 year. Yes, after 1 year, to me, you are stretching. You are stalling. You know what you want already. So why go 1 year and you be there? Even if they said there's this thing, if you guys they ask a girl out, they'll be like, be my girlfriend. You'll be like, I want to think about it. They say you know your answer before you go. So why not just say it? So that's my take.
That's good. That's good.
All right, so but you still haven't addressed the issue of mental maturity. So we'll come
I
forward.
think I would like to
Okay.
Just speak to that. The mental maturity is actually a very big topic, and it's something that we can actually, talk more about because we all have this mental, issues. Everybody.
Yeah. Spark
Yeah,
anytime.
everybody just kind of having this kind of thought. So when you say the guys be mentally matured, nobody is 100% mentally matured. That's just the truth. Because even in your own house, you have your own siblings, which you've lived with for the past 5, 20, 30 years, living together. Even your mom or dad, you have this kind of interaction with them, arguments. You get like, oh, mom, why would you do this kind of a thing? You have a fight with them. They understand immediately, and they have their own way to treat it. And like someone like me, that we just woke up to my dad and say, Daddy, why would you do this kind of a thing? At that point in time, we just have to trash it out. And you understand the fact that yes, this is my son. And for the fact that we lived together for the past maybe 35 years or 20 years or so, he understands me as the guy, as his own son then. So that's father to son. Then brother to sister, you guys have a fight. To the extent at some point you see some people fighting about lands, a brother to a brother. Are you going to tell me that they don't love themselves or what? No. So that's a mental stuff. They have to come in. So, but the issue we have these days, our women of nowadays, they're not like our mothers. The olden days.
Shots fired. Okay.
And they always tell you, come on, we have equal rights. We do this, we do that. Feminism, they call it indifference. That's things where people wait things they do for head. So we actually, the way our women carry things nowadays, and sometimes men, the way we're wired and the way we think and the way we reason, it's quite kind of different. When we're having some work stress, like some days ago, I was at ICM. I was chilling from, I left, what's it called? Nigeria Energy. I drove straight down to ICM. I was there till 12 a.m. at night, just chilling. That's kind of environment I needed at that point in time. But because I didn't want any other stress, sometimes we go to club to release your stress. When your woman whom you're married to at that point in time, maybe you don't need that kind of
Intimacy.
at that point in time, you just want to let me just be due to your work and other things. As you mentioned that they having some issue, you went straight up and lock up the stores. It happens. So it's not left for you as a woman to understand the kind of guy that he is. So far, he's not beating you up. That's the major thing. He goes. Yeah, it's possible.
You can see that he's in support of that guy locking up the shop.
No.
Very clear.
Yeah.
And I'm
No, it's not his support. He's
that.
actually trying to explain.
I'm trying to explain something. Yeah, because let's say, for instance, what's the name? Sorry,
Ozioma.
Ozoma is my sister, for instance. We just have some crazy argument because of the love I have for her as a sister. I could just talk to her anyhow. Well, not that I want to alter and make her go so gaga or mad. No, but for the love I have, I'll just talk to her. Why would you wear this kind of stuff? Do this nonsense? This is just why I feel at that point in time. Not because I'm trying to bully her or trying to make her. I'm trying to find a way maybe to correct her. Like we watch in the movies or what happens. Some of these well-developed countries. You see, issue of school shootings, different kind of things. The one that just happened recently, 14-year-old guy just came out, just shot the mom. Shot the mom's boyfriend. Things like that. These are things that women nowadays are trying to also copy, forgetting that we are not the Oyibos. We are Africans, and this is where. In fact, we in Africa we understand marriage. We understand what it's.
We'll come back to because you've already you're opening up doors, and I'm afraid that if you go down that door, that door may not close. But you said something, and I can already see the response of some ladies looking at you. But let's bring it back full circle right now. You said mental maturity. From what everybody has said, nobody has been able to give us what mental maturity looks like. Let's set it aside. Let's move on to the next. What else can you use to assess somebody's capacity for starting a family, getting married?
The finance life.
Does everybody agree with that it's finances?
Yes.
Of course, it's finance, of course.
You need money to pay bride price, obviously.
But
You need money for bride price, obviously.
Which bride price?
You will pay bride price if you want to marry, and without yes.
Okay, you want to do your thank you.
All right, so we have come down to the issue of money. All right, is there anybody here, woman, who is willing to get married to a man who is unemployed? Just let me, by show of hands, you are open to the idea of getting married to an unemployed man or a man who does not have a source of income?
At least for the love now.
For the love. Can we, by show of hands? Okay, so is there anybody willing to date a guy who is unemployed or who doesn't have a source of income?
I want to say something about
Okay.
if a man is not employed, at least there should be this attribute that he can give. And as a
He can
lady,
give what? No, let's sleep.
But it's cute.
let me land, just calm down.
Yeah, land. So far for this. Land on it. So far for
A man that is not well stable is not employed. And a lady also, is either she's employed or she is not, depending on her. There is this terms that it's likely if they come together, this man in question might be able to stand. It's not until you see a man that is mentally stable before you know if this person is capable or not. So if we use this mentality as an example, this man is not stable, but when you come together, it becomes stable. So it's meaning you guys are compatible. Why?
Rhymes.
We're not laughing at what you're saying. We're laughing in response to what he is. Okay, so you have said so much now, and I wish that the world operated like that. I wish that men and women could get together, we sing Kumbaya. Kumbaya, you know. What you are describing is metaphysical, supernatural, because your assumptions about the way romantic relationship works, you get it from your parents, and you already have a particular assumption.
Yeah.
Your assumption is that once you get into their life, they will start earning and they'll start making more money. It doesn't work that way for most people. Okay? The same Yoruba people that tell those kind of stories also will tell you that the more children that people have, the more poverty that comes.
Yes.
Eh? Thank you very much, sir, for translating. So you get that. So we won't go down that path. We need a framework that people can use for assessment. All right? Because people who are going to watch this show do not want to date you. They actually want to date women apart from you. You understand? So you haven't given us anything to work with. So let's get back to capacity now. And so still, so that we won't forget why we got into this conversation, the question is this, are there women here who are ready to get married to a man who is unemployed?
What I feel is that if a man has like probably 60 to 70% of what she said, I think it's good to go.
Okay, but we still come down to the issue of capacity. Most things in life cost money. Unless you live in a village where you cut down your trees, you can build your house, you can fetch water from a well and grow your own food. Most things in life, you will need to exchange money for it. And the only way you will get money is if you go work for someone or you create something that other people value. Okay? And for most men, the role of primary breadwinner falls on men. Okay? Particularly why? Because if you get pregnant, for instance, and you have to be out of work for 6 months, you want to be sure that your bills are taken care of. You get me? So money is extremely important. Because once you get married, 9 months down the line, there is a baby, the bills start counting. And most people do not escape those bills until all the children leave the house. The man has to have a job, or he has to have a source of income, or he has to have inheritance for family, or he has to have family support. There must be money coming from somewhere to support his family. Do we agree with that?
Yes. 100%.
With the exception of Princess.
Ruto.
No, you are Princess now. Because you are giving us Cinderella vibes. Okay, so the first conversation we have now is this. How do you know if a man has enough source of income to support a family?
Once they can be able to provide basic needs of life, food, shelter, clothing. Once you can be able to afford this and be sufficient, you don't need to have excess. But as long as you can afford to feed yourself, and if you're delving into the side of maybe getting married, your pocket should be able to feed another person. Yeah. Apart from, when you get into the marriage, you can now decide, okay, am I stable enough to start bearing children? You can delay it for like 1-2 years. Maybe when both of you get your shit together, when both of you have maybe been able to merge your finances together, be able to make plans, to make money together, and to build this family together. But a man should be able to feed himself and be able to feed another comfortably. Should be able to have a good shelter, something a human being can live in.
Have you had men who had all those things together and they wanted to marry you?
Yes,
How did you know they wanted to marry you?
because it was intentional. Just that I was not ready. So he left.
Okay, what did he say? What did he do? How did you know that he was intentional about it?
Number one, we're not actually living in the same place, but like we're living in just like Ikorodu and Island now, you get. But I was in another state, okay, so it's like traveling local governments to come and see me. So over the weekend, you do like make out that time, comes that like that, then spend the whole weekend. He makes sure that once he lands in that place, that Saturday and Sunday he's there. His presence is always there. He calls. Yes, he was this provider. Although I don't ask, but even without asking, he will provide. You get. And he was this kind of person that, when you have a problem, he knows the solution to every problem.
Okay, so you described like a perfect man also.
Not a perfect man, really. He
you
told me his intentions, actually.
How long were you guys dating before he told you intentions?
Just few months.
Like how many months?
Like 2 months or so. He's
Okay.
like he was heading to 30 then. He was
Okay.
heading to his 30s then.
So was heading to his 30s,
Yes.
and then within 2 months of dating.
Yes, he was already like he's this kind of person that when he came, like he this was already his intention. There are some people that don't delay in saying their intention.
That's nice.
So that's just it.
So 2 months. So that particular story, 2 months in the relationship,
Yeah.
a 30-year-old man,
Yeah.
he could afford to support a family, and he
Yeah.
made his intention known. So those are 4 things in that story.
Yeah.
So it means that in that particular story, you know what it looks like when a man wants to.
Yeah.
Does anybody have a
It's
similar
capable.
story? Does anybody have a similar story?
I'm sure they all have.
Most
Okay.
guys use marriage as a tactic to just
Okay,
have
so let's
you know
hear the
that-
tactic.
I think his own, like it took like a month or a month and 6 months before he started telling me, okay, I want to get married to you and the rest. Started pressuring me to like speak with my mom and all. And I didn't want that. You understand? So with all the pressure and everything, it took months and I finally like introduced him to my mom. Long story cut short, he had a girlfriend. That's just the thing. He had a girlfriend. He also used me to pass time. That's just the thing. honestly.
Okay, so he introduced you to his mom. He met your mom.
No, we spoke on the phone.
Okay. Did you meet his mom?
His mom is late.
Okay.
He might have the good intention to get married to you.
No, brother.
Men
Probably has a
use that
girlfriend.
as
Doesn't want to
a
get married to the
tactic
girlfriend.
these
If I want to get
days.
married to you, that guy may just be a
How
side
did you-
Because they feel like once they tell you marriage, you like you will calm
Drop your
down
life.
from like
Absolutely.
you now feel so entitled to you. You understand? Start
True.
ordering you around.
True.
Don't go here. Don't go. That kind of stuff.
How did you get to know he has a
So
girlfriend?
it's in the 10th
I
class.
found out now
See,
from those phone calls. And all.
So if that's the case, if he had the intention of marrying you, what was he looking for then?
Past time.
Pleasure.
You had
Probably
jobless.
the girlfriend
used-
was not close to him.
Yes, he used marriage as a tactic to like hold me down. You understand?
Okay, so I'll
What's the
ask in
extent?
that particular case you narrated, the guy was he capable of supporting a family?
Yeah,
How old was he roughly?
38.
Okay, he was 38 years old. Okay. How long had you guys been dating before he mentioned?
No, we're in dating. We're still in the talking stage. You understand?
But in the talking stage, like how long before he brought up? Did he bring up the issue of marriage in the talking stage?
Yeah. That marriage was the first thing. He was like, I want to get married. I want your wife. You feel that all this kind of nonsense.
Okay, so he brought that up at the very, very beginning.
Yes.
Okay.
His name is not Uzosha.
Okay, so you had all that, and then at the end of the day, you found out that he wasn't honest. So that's a different story. So the first thing is this: we're having a conversation at the point, and I think you brought up something. You said something in that conversation, if you recall. You said that men who are not working should not date or something.
Yes, I said that.
Can you repeat what you said exactly?
What I said was that it's not proper, as in it's not reasonable for a man that is unemployed to ask out a lady. The reason
If you no work, you no go chop.
Love is not meant for broke people.
But that fall out fast.
Love is only meant for the rich.
All
the,
right.
the essence of relationship is to get married.
Does everybody agree to that?
No.
If you are in a romantic relationship, I mean, romantic relationship, I mean, if you are not going to get married to someone,
I should not date.
why should you date the person?
All right. So you are saying, so he has held the view that if people do not plan to get married, they should not date.
Yeah.
That's your
That's
view.
the church view.
That is your view. Okay. So how many people have a contrary view? So your own view is that even if you are not ready to marry somebody, at least date the person.
That is what is happening. I mean, some
Just
guys.
own just own your situation. Don't dodge it now.
Be practical.
I can't really
You have
say
to be
anything
practical.
about that because the relationships I've had, it was actually about marriage, but one thing led to another thing, and then the thing broke up. But does not mean that we didn't plan the marriage. Yeah. But most people, they date because they just want the fun of it. You know, just they be with. I want to go. I want people to know I have a boyfriend. I want people to know my boyfriend is like
There are
this.
some
My
people
boyfriend
you
is
just
like
meet in
that. Just
the
for title. Or just to be recognized. I don't know. But they do it for their that.
Okay, so we have that. You were about to say something.
Yes, I want to ask him a question. He said it himself that if you don't have money or if you are unemployed, you shouldn't date, right?
Yeah.
Have you yourself particularly, have you ever asked a lady out and you are unemployed?
No.
No? Really? Okay, every lady, like every relationship you've had, or maybe you're in a relationship right now, have you ever talked about marriage? Ever since you started dating? Ever since you started dating?
And the two of you dating.
Your first relationship, you spoke about marriage.
The first relationship I had, that was when we got out of secondary school.
So you spoke about marriage.
You were jobless, bro. You were jobless.
After my secondary school, wait. Listen.
Right.
After my secondary school, I got a job then. I was collecting, that was when I told you that I was collecting 15,000.
Are you planning to marry her?
You go feed your wife.
And she knew she was working then.
Hey, but the question is, did you plan to marry her?
Then I planned, initially, I want to marry. That's why I
Baba, you are capping.
Actually, most of us here, we understand when you first fell in love, how you are going to feel about that person.
Mr. Olatunji, let me tell you, you have just been caught in a contradiction. Just accept it.
You've been caught.
You are caught in it. Let me tell you, Mr. Olatunji, wait. I'll tell you this. Let me tell you what I think you are trying to pull off, and that's why I allowed that. You are trying to pull off the same stunt she said. That if you are not ready to get married, or if you don't have a job, don't date. So everybody will be like, this guy is a serious guy. And then if you go after anybody in this place.
And she asked me that my girlfriend, my first woman, do I have a job before I asked her? That's the question. And I said, yes, I have a job.
Were you planning to marry her?
Then, yes. I was living alone then. I don't have a house. But I was living alone immediately after secondary school.
But you wanted to marry with 15K.
She asked me. Not that we are not planning to. Listen, we are not planning to marry in the next 1 year or 2 years then.
Listen, what you are doing is not fair. What was the question you asked again?
I said his first girlfriend, his first relationship after secondary school, like he said, that was he planning to get married to the lady he first fell in love with? And he said yes. Then I said, how come? Because he said he's earning 15K. Then it was earning 15K.
What year was that?
It's about 6 years ago.
You left secondary school 6 years ago. You were earning 15,000. And you
had
started
no
dating a
house.
girl and you plan to marry her then.
Then
Without a house.
Immediately I got out of secondary school. Even before I got out of secondary school, around I was in SS3, I already have my own apartment.
Were you mentally, like you said?
Were you mentally matured then?
He's not talking about the recent marriage. He's talking about future marriage.
Oh, madam. Let me just tell you, on this show, just calm down, all right? All these things you are saying, we'll upload this video, you come back and watch it like 6, 7 years from now, and you ask yourself that, how could I have been this kind of person? Do not contribute to this conversation again, okay? Please don't. You can't contribute.
Because life will educate you differently.
You guys are not getting what I'm saying.
You just contradicted yourself.
I just got out of secondary school. I was earning 50K.
You are taking the whole
And my
thing.
girlfriend too, she's earning 10,000 naira. Listen to me. It's not as if, though initially, the reason why I got into a relationship with her was I want to get married with her. But it's not as if I want to get married to her in the next 1 year or 2 years. No, it's more like we are building futures together, and the destination is, baby, we're going to get married.
How long were you going to build that future?
You know we are together now.
Are you still with her now?
No.
Did you marry her?
No.
How long did you guys date for?
We dated for like 8 months.
It didn't reach 8 years.
What you said?
She traveled.
She traveled out.
Yes.
She Darkpore.
So when I break up,
Our uncle took her to Dubai.
Are you sure it's her biological uncle? Okay, so I just want to. All right, so we allow that trend to go. Okay, and the reason why we're having this conversation is so that people do not lock you into dead-end relationships. Okay, because what you described, you may not have seen it from the beginning. All right, but people who have had a bit of experience can see it, and they'll tell you it's a dead-end relationship. In Nigeria, in 2017, all right, if you are earning 15,000 and you have a girlfriend that's earning 10,000 naira, all right, in Nigeria, even as at 27, despite the fact that it was 6 years ago, okay, there is no way you would have said that you are going to get married to her within 7 years. There is no way you can try to wrap it up, but there's no pathway. Because things are expensive. Even as at back then, exchange rate and all that, things were still expensive in 2017. You are just saying 6 years ago. 6 years ago was not so far away. But let's move on. Okay, so we're still talking about capacity. All right. Every single woman said they will not marry somebody who is unemployed. So if you don't have a job, scratch it. The second part of what we have here is this: you must at least be able to meet the minimum requirements of supporting families for the city or country you are living in. And the reason why we're saying that is because some people watching this may be watching this from outside Nigeria, and you'll be wondering that 15,000, that sounds like a lot. That's 15,000 naira in Nigeria, not $15,000 in the US. We have to clarify that. Okay, so right now, what do people need? Okay, people will tell you that the person, whoever it is you are working with, if you have to, and I would say that women should look at their income. A woman should look at her income and look at the income of the man that is coming to seek her hand in marriage, and ask, if we put it together, will these two combined income support families? If it's not going to do that, there's no point wasting your time. It doesn't mean women are gold diggers. It's just being practical about the cost of modern day living. Okay? Are we in agreement on that?
Yes.
We'll talk about capacity, then we'll move on to willingness. $1 to a naira is at the time in which we are recording this, and today is 23rd of September 2023. What's the current exchange rate?
1,000.
It's over 1,000. Okay? As at 6 years ago, when you are narrating your story, it was roughly around the range of 360. So it means that if you are buying anything you are buying 7 years ago, you will need 3 times the amount in naira to buy it today. So if you had started your family back then and your children had an expense around that time, you probably might be spending close to 3 times what you will need to spend on it now. People's incomes and salaries have not tripled in 7 years. We are real people here. We tell ourselves the truth here. We do not lie to ourselves. So a couple of pointers, then we'll go on to willingness. 6 guidelines for women to get married. One of the first guidelines is that when you meet a guy, you have to insist from the get-go if you want to get married. Somebody here mentioned that he's willing to wait 6 months, and that person mentioned they're willing to wait 1 year. But whatever it is, if you're having that conversation, it's important to have that conversation from the beginning so that you do not engage yourself with time wasters. All right? So the first thing is you insist on it. The second thing is this: if you find yourself in a dead-end relationship, move on. How do you know it's a dead-end relationship? You are with the person. There are no definite milestones in view. Okay? Some of the things she mentioned on her list applies. You've not met the family. You're not having conversations. The person is not saying we, or is always saying himself. If you have those signs of that this stuff is not going to, just move on. The third thing to consider is that you need to love yourself first. Okay? We have this idea that you're looking for someone to complete you and believe in romance. Unfortunately, what you are looking for, and I would say that to Ruth, what you are describing is what every woman would wish in a man she is married to. But if men outside, if you broadcast your opinions out there, you are going to have a long queue of people who want to quickly come and collect their own and run. Okay. 4th, commit yourself to the idea of getting married. 5th, keep in shape, watch your weight, and take care of your appearance. This applies to people who are slightly older because once you start hitting your 30s, your metabolism changes. And you may need to exercise and do a bit more workouts to lose weight. So keep that at the back of your mind. Most women in their early 20s cannot imagine a day will come when their phone will not ring or when WhatsApp messages will not enter of somebody saying, come and cook for me, or when are you coming to come and see me, and all those things. Most women cannot imagine. Okay? But I will tell you from our conversations on this show, from different people who have come on the show, we've seen women mid-30s, 40s, all right, who nobody is checking out. And so it's very, very important that you keep it at the back of your mind that if you want to commit to the idea of having a family someday, you have to use time wisely. So a couple of things to how to assess men. To maximize your chances of marrying, only date the marrying kind. So most men will not consider marriage before they hit the age of commitment. What everybody has been saying about mental maturity, there's a particular age, and it's usually called the age of commitment. Okay? And then depending, if the person is graduating from high school and the person does not plan to go to university, when the person finishes high school, the age of commitment for such people usually is about the age of 23. So, for example, we have brothers from the East who go, perhaps at the age of 13, the person has learned a trade. Probably has learned a trade, he served his master for 7 years, he's now standing on his feet. By the time he reaches the age of 23, he probably might consider getting married and start a family because he's standing on his 2 feet. For people who go to university or who graduate from Polytechnic, HND, tertiary institution, usually it's not earlier than the age of 28 to 30. Because by the time they finish school, before they go for youth service, before they get the first job, before they stand on their feet and they work for a couple of time, most men are already reaching the age of 30. And so if you are meeting a guy in 200 level at the age of 22 or 21, and the guy is telling you that he is going to commit to you, chances are, if he does not have a huge inheritance, if he is not Dangote's son, or whatever, chances are he will not have the capacity to do so. So for college men, college graduates, the high commitment period is between the age of 28 to 33. Okay? For men who go on to do their masters and PhDs, usually you will not hear anything until after 36. You have to keep it at the back of your mind because if you're dating somebody and the person tells you he's a master's student or he's running his PhD, there's a very, very good chance that he will not get married before the age of 36. Okay. Also, a 40-plus man who has been married before is likely to remarry. But a 40-plus man who has never been married is very likely not to
marry.
You understand? There's a difference. Maybe widowers or men who have divorced in their 40s are more likely to remarry than men who have never been. Because it just gets to a point in which if you've been living alone all your life, after a while, you just don't want to put up with anybody's issues. We can keep going on and on and on. I think I've trashed through most of the essential stuff. So we're talking about capacity. Most men will not contemplate marriage until they've been working for some time. So if you're meeting a guy who just started working or so, you probably may have to sit and wait with him for long. And that's where I fault your conversation, because the conversation you had with that girl, and I think it was a good thing that you guys broke up after 8 months. Because there's a very, very good chance that if you had dated her for 6 years, by the time in which you are now ready to get married, you probably will not marry her. And how many people have heard of cases like that? People who date. Do you have a case of that like that? Do you know anybody? Does anybody know someone who dated for a long period of time and when it was time to get married, they married somebody else? What happened to your sister? Are you willing to tell us a story? Sorry, what did you just say?
She dated him for 10 years, yes.
Jesus Christ.
Okay, so I really do not understand. That means that your sister dated the guy through three administrations.
She dated him from SS2 down to university, service, and till she started working. And when the guy would break up, that was the excuse. It was like his mom said that he should not marry somebody that is in her 30s or someone that is approaching 30. How old is the guy? The guy is like 34, 35. And my sister is 29, approaching 30.
I hope she puts him in a bottle.
But she's married now.
Thank God.
So that's like an example of what we're describing. So that's so that it doesn't appear as if we are making this marriage or whatever to be a big issue out. That's supposed to be like a prize. Okay, I will yield back to my co-host and by asking this question: that is it really what it is cracked up to be?
Most men are attracted to your physical outlook, but end up getting married to a lady with a good character.
Exactly.
Okay, so another point is this: what I like, when guys are making decisions on who they are going to settle with, they actually want somebody who they can parade as a trophy wife. It doesn't mean that the woman is the most pretty woman in the world, but they actually want someone that in Yoruba parlance, people would say that omojulo soja.
Exactly.
Okay, so the way and manner in which women appear, particularly for that time period there, before you guys start families together, it matters. There's a way you would dress that would tell people that you're wife material, and there's also a way you dress that would tell the parents that this person is just for recreational use. Why do we say this? We say this because right now we are talking to people who want to start families. Okay, it's not everybody that ideally should get married. It's not everybody that should start a family. We're just speaking to people who want to start families. And if you want to start a family, the pictures that people take on Instagram, those duck faces, turning backwards, showing the curvature of your ass, showing off you in a bathrobe, in a hotel and all that. As fantastic and beautiful as you look in the pictures, what most men get from those pictures is that this person is what? Is hot and this person is for recreational use. So you may want to keep that at the back of your mind. A fourth point here also is that if you want to marry a man who is good looking, you should go for a man who is more good looking than you. Okay? You know why? Because extremely good looking men place less emphasis on looks. But if the man is not too good looking, he will require that you be extremely good looking. So that means that we're saying this because sometimes not everybody, we live in a world in which everybody cannot be equally beautiful and hot. Okay? So if you find yourself in which and you're like saying that, okay, probably you think you're not as good looking as you think you should, you think most women are, you can go for a very extremely good looking man. However, you also need to realize that, again, a lot of people will be chasing that kind of man. So a couple of points under that, point 4. So would you just quickly go through it?
If you want to marry a man who is more attractive than you, go for a very good looking man, because women see their own looks as a gift of nature equal to or superior to brains and talents. In contrast, 67% of very good looking men think of their looks as a minor asset and say they would rather be smart, rich, or talented.
Okay, so there are a couple of things that you may want to keep at the back of mind. If you're going for a very good looking man, you may want to approach him. Why? Because good looking men very rarely approach women. Because people throw. So you may want to do that. Allow him to put you on a pedestal. Okay? Do not treat him differently than any other man because he's much better looking than you. Third thing is, let him see your talents and your accomplishments. And the reason why is because very, very good looking men often marry women who are accomplished professionally. And then the fourth thing to keep at the back of mind is make demands on him. You may want to advise him to go back to school, get a better job and all that. Why? Because you cannot... People who are extremely good looking tend to coast along on their looks, and they're actually looking for people that will challenge them to improve themselves. So those are things that you keep at the back of your mind. If you meet such a man, a lot of time will defer the decision. If they have lots of women around them, they will defer the decision on who to select as a mate to their parents. Okay. Again, we are talking to people who find themselves in a situation. If you find a very, very good man, if you find a man that is capable of supporting a family, if you find a man that is capable of meeting your needs, there's a very good chance that that man is also capable of meeting the needs of several more women. And you may have to. Most people don't like to hear these words, but you may actually have to compete for such a man. Okay, because usually there are not too many of them around. We'll quickly jump to talk about a couple of points. And these are just essential pointers to summarize the show, because the caption of this show is how to know if a man is going to marry you. So we're talking about men now. So men who are in their 30s, who have been working for a while, who are capable of supporting a family. How do you know if this person will? The first point is this. Is he discussing marriage with you? If he discusses marriage with you, there's a very, very good chance that he is willing to do so. If he does not bring it up, it is not on his mind. Usually, people will say that if you have gone on dates with someone for 6 times, or if you have gone to the person's house 6 times, or if you have gone to cook for the guy 6 times, if you guys have had 6 interactions, you should bring up the subject. When are we getting married? And you have to be direct. Do not be afraid you will scare him off. If you say it and he's scared, let him be scared off. Rather than you spending a year or 2 years with somebody, or in our own case, 10 years 3 out of every 4 married women will tell you that the husband did not propose. They were the ones who told the husband that what? When are you getting married? If you're not going to marry, leave me alone. Okay? 3 out of 4. In fact, and that does not factor in people who get pregnant deliberately because they want the guy to marry them. Do you understand me? So if you want to get married to a guy, you may have to bring it up because most men will not bring it up. Like Olatunde mentioned, most men can date a woman for up to 6 years. All right. And never think that I should marry this woman. So it's up to you to bring up the point if it matters to you. 2 final points to mention so that before we close out the show. Men do not get subtle hints. You cannot bake a cake and put marriage on it, or you cannot take him to a wedding. You have to be direct. Extremely direct with him. You cannot bring up, hey, your cousin is getting married and all that. Expect him to get, he's not going to get the hint. And then finally, most men do not respond positively when challenged. So if you tell the man, marry me or get out of my life, half of the time, the man will get out of your life. All right. So ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being a part of this show.